what has been denied is more than what has been provided. Commodore Lokesh Batra asked for information from all the embassies of India where Prime Minister Narendra Modi traveled, and out of the 16 countries that he visited, like you have shown, only 2 or 3 embassies have given the details and given the information on how much money was spent on his visits. I think this is extremely unfortunate. This basically is showing the mindset that this is people's money, but people cannot have access to how their money was spent. We have a right to know under our constitution. It's a democratic constitutional right. The Supreme Court has held that it's a fundamental right that people have information on how governments are working and how government officials are functioning. And here we are talking not of any ordinary person. We are talking about money that is being spent on the Prime Minister of India, his foreign travels. This is not about Mr. Narendra Modi. This is not about the current Prime Minister. This is not about any party. This is about the whole issue is regarding accountability to the people of India. The whole slogan of the Right to Information movement has been Hamara Paisa, Hamara Hisab. It's our money and we have to be given account of how our money is spent. This was also applicable before Mr. Narendra Modi took over as the Prime Minister of India. In a democracy, it is very important for participation, for people's participation, for questioning to happen, to have information, objective information. On the PMO's website, I just read out to you that 20 crore rupees was spent on a 2 or 3 day visit to Brazil just on chartered flights. So can you imagine what the total sum of money would be? I mean, when that is being spent, what is being negotiated? Do we not have the right to know who all went in the official delegation?
Hello and a warm welcome to HW News Network, your one-stop show, truth be told, for some engaging and thought-provoking conversations. Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited 16 countries in 2024. It's not a small number. He visited 16 countries in 2024, but the Indian missions, barring those in Abu Dhabi and Moscow, are yet to provide details of the expenditure incurred in organizing these high-profile visits. And this was sought under Right to Information Act, and this application was filed by the transparency activist Commodore Lokesh Batra. Now, the embassy in Abu Dhabi has provided details, and they have not given a complete breakup. And here is the copy on the screen. And they've just given a little detail in as an answer to the first question, which was asked that the expenditure incurred by this public authority. And they've given a total expenditure of 4 crores 95 lakhs 49,408. In the second question, they have asked for the breakup, which they have said that they have not given the breakup. And they said that it is related to the expenses of the Council of Ministers. Then the third question which is asked is that was this event sponsored or it was organized by some other organization? So they have given the detail of that event, which was called Alan Modi. And then they have said that this community interaction event was organized by the Indian diaspora in UAE. So this was a reply given by the embassy of India, that is Abu Dhabi. Now take a look at the expenditure details which have come out as far as Moscow and Kazan are concerned. Now here is the complete breakup. If you look at the breakup of the Moscow mission in Moscow has said that hotel arrangements were worth 1 crore 81 lakh 69,388. Daily allowance 20 lakh 81,303. And look at this, which is phenomenal. Community reception. Now you've seen the kind of frenzy which is created behind Prime Minister Modi's trip, where you have the entire jamboree of the Bhakts, then with all the orchestra, the cacophony which you see, and the whole lot of rejoicing and joy and fervor which you see. It's all stage managed, and this is for what the expenditure you see, the community reception, the way he's been given the reception, that has a huge cost. 1 crore 87 lakh 97,259. Transport arrangements 59 lakh 6,031. Transport arrangements, the local crowd, the management of the local crowds, the people who are flown down from India to arrange all this. And then other miscellaneous expenditure, nobody knows what that miscellaneous expenditure is, but 62 lakh rupees, 56,129, which brings a total expenditure of 5 crores 12 lakh 10,110 rupees. Now look at the next one. Now the Kazan expenditure, the Kazan mission, hotel arrangements, again 1 crore 62,070 79,655. Daily allowance 25 lakh 67,158. Transport arrangements 1 crore 679 lakh 85,100. Other miscellaneous expenditure 6 crores 56 lakh 27,258. Now, there's no breakup of the miscellaneous expenditure. It's just given in totality. Now, who knows what all has been spent in this 6 crores? And do you think that 6 crores is a small amount? Not at all. And the total expenditure is 10 crores 24 lakhs 59,171, whereas the total expenditure in Moscow is about 5 crores 12 lakhs 10,110. Now, what does this really show? This is taxpayers' money which is being used. It's a wasteful expenditure. Why does a prime minister need so much of money just to stage manage, just to call him a Vishwaguru, just to show the world that, look, this is how people love me as a prime minister? Is that the objective? Now, these are the questions which are arising in everyone's mind. Go to the social media, look at the way how people are responding on Twitter, which is now called X, and people say the prime minister has called himself a fakir, who it seems is not bothered too much about the worldly pleasures, about the materialistic pleasures. So, if a person like this, who claims to be of a simple mindset, why do you need this kind of a wasteful expenditure of the taxpayers' money? And please don't forget, India is a nation where 80 crore people are being fed free rations. And this is what Prime Minister Narendra Modi has formalized it almost. So we'll try and discuss all of this. Joining me now is renowned transparency activist Anjali Bharadwaj with us this evening. Thank you so much, Anjali, for joining. And it's always a pleasure having you on the program. And this RTI, which has been filed by Commodore Lokesh Batra, how revealing is it? And what is it that really strikes you as a transparency activist when you see these 3 applications which we put out?
Thanks, Neelu. I think the first thing that strikes me as a transparency activist is what you said, that what has been denied is more than what has been provided. Commodore Lokesh Batra asked for information from all the embassies of India where Prime Minister Narendra Modi traveled, and out of the 16 countries that he visited, like you have shown, only 2 or 3 embassies have given the details and given the information on how much money was spent on his visits. I think this is extremely unfortunate. This basically is showing the mindset that this is people's money, but people cannot have access to how their money was spent. I am not saying that taxpayers' money should not be spent on the Prime Minister's visits. Of course, it has to be. These are all official visits. But should people whose money is being spent not have a right to know how much money is being spent and on what? So we know that in our country, even the poorest person on the street is paying taxes. Today, we know about GST, we know about indirect taxes. This is all people's hard-earned money. We have a right to know under our constitution. It's a democratic constitutional right. The Supreme Court has held that it's a fundamental right that people have information on how governments are working and how government officials are functioning. And here we are talking not of any ordinary person. We are talking about money that is being spent on the Prime Minister of India, his foreign travels. Now, Neelu, I want to start also by saying that this is not about Mr. Narendra Modi. This is not about the current Prime Minister. This is not about any party. This is about the whole issue is regarding accountability to the people of India. The whole slogan of the Right to Information movement has been Hamara Paisa, Hamara Hisab. It's our money and we have to be given account of how our money is spent. This was also applicable before Mr. Narendra Modi took over as the Prime Minister of India. I will, for the benefit of your viewers, just read out the OM, the official memorandum, the office memorandum that basically laid out the guidelines for foreign tours of Prime Minister, ministers and officials. And here it's very, very clear that the section 1.8 says that a large number of RTI queries are being filed on official tours undertaken by ministers or officials of various government ministries and departments. And mind you, this is 2013. We are not talking about a current situation. This is when the UPA government was in power. People were asking this information. It was acknowledged. And what was finally said? Information to be disclosed proactively without anyone having to seek that information. Information to be disclosed proactively may contain nature of the official tour, places visited, the period for which the place was visited, number of people included in the official delegation, and the total cost of such travel undertaken. This is a DOPT-OM, Department of Personnel and Training, which comes under the Prime Minister's office. In 2013, put out this direction, these guidelines, which are applicable till date, Neelu. What does this mean? This basically means that people were asking for this information even from Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. This is not anything to do with any one person or any one party. This is information that people have a right to know in a democracy. It was taken on board. And in 2013, this OM was given. Now, if you look at the Prime Minister Office's website, it is so unfortunate that after 2019, there seems to be no information on how much money was spent on the Prime Minister tours. I was looking at the website, and again, just give me 1 minute to tell you what I found. It says that from 13th of November to the 15th of November 2019, Prime Minister went to Brazil, and the expenses incurred on chartered flights was 20 crore 1 lakh rupees. Now, similarly, expenses on chartered flights are given for that period. He went to Thailand, 6 crore 68 lakh rupees only on chartered flights. The total cost is not provided even for 2019. It's only for chartered flights. And after 2020, no expenditure is proactively provided. What is there to hide? And then, Neelu, what you started by saying, that there are questions that arise when the media shows these great grand pictures of welcome of the Prime Minister in different airports when he reaches a country, how so many thousands of people seem to collect, to dance and to rejoice his reaching. It's a great thing, but people have a right also to know how much of their money is being spent on some of these things. How much money is being spent when all our officials travel, when our secretaries, when our ministers, when our prime minister, they travel to different countries. How much money is being spent and on what? Because you see, in a democracy, it is very important for participation, for people's participation, for questioning to happen, to have information, objective information. I think Commodore Batra has been consistently, even before this government came to power and even now, has been asking for this kind of information. And not just him. Let me also say that 60 lakh, means 6 million RTI applications are filed every year in our country, where people like Commodore Batra are asking for information. And it is unfortunate, it is completely illegal, the denial of this information even today. So if embassies today are trying to hide behind a veil of secrecy how much of taxpayers' money is being spent, it is wholly and completely illegal. It is incorrect. And I think the government has an obligation, like I just read out, to actually give this information themselves. This is not about any one prime minister or minister. This is about democracy. And we always say that things that are done with taxpayers' money, things that are done by public officials. The prime minister of the country is an elected official. We've all voted in various elections. We've all given our taxpayers' money. We have a right to know, and people have a right then to debate. Some might say that this amount of money is not correct to be spent on a prime minister's visit when there are so many priorities where money should be spent, taxpayers' money should be spent. Some might even say that no, it's okay. But the point is that we need to have information even to have a proper debate in a democracy. And that is what is being denied when Commodore Batra is being denied information.
But Anjali, to ask you honestly, this Vishwaguru image of the Prime Minister, and it's not that I'm trying to ask a very personal question on Prime Minister Modi, but what do you feel as a citizen when you see an RTI like this and the kind of replies which have come from these three missions? Would people not say that, this idea of a Vishwaguru, these RTIs, if you look at the replies, they have busted the image of the Vishwaguru. It's an image which has been created, and all these tolis or the bands of cheerleaders who are there to, make Prime Minister Modi look like a tall figure or as if he's some big statesman which the world follows. Does it not look like a very stage managed thing? And it's almost like a balloon which has been, force filled, and then the balloon it just deflates. This RTI, does it not reflect a situation like that?
There's no doubt that Prime Minister Modi is a popular leader. But what you are saying, that, this perception that is created, every time he goes abroad, and, the kind of pictures that so clearly follow his visits of, so many thousands of people coming to the streets and so on. I think, it's very important to have those images also being also being shown along with what are the expenses that are being incurred on these kinds of things. So, like I said, you and I might debate. Somebody might feel that these expenses are justified. Somebody might feel they are totally unjustified. Somebody might say that, look, for community receptions, if such large amounts of money are being spent, like you just showed us the figures, 1 crore 87 lakh rupees was spent on community reception in Moscow. A lot of people might feel that that's not justified expenditure. Some might feel it's justified. But the reality is that when we do not in a democracy expect the fourth pillar of our democracy, the media, to simply blindly show what is happening without giving the entire picture, because that is doing a disservice to democracy. Media must also ask questions. It must ask, how is this being organized? How much money is being spent on it? Is it being organized by the embassy? Are they spending money? How much money are they spending? Commodore Batra is asking these questions, but is the media not supposed to ask these questions? Is the media not supposed to provide this information? And I'll be very surprised, Neelu, if apart from you and some other people in the media, there'll be any discussion about this also. And that, I think, is a great disservice. And you see, what we are simply saying here
and the worst part, Anjali, sorry to interrupt you, because when you said that India should do it, I remember when UPA was in power and we used to do these stories on the basis of RTIs filed by you, by several others. We got all the information in those times on the basis of RTI. We put out stories, we put out scams after scams. That was media then. And today's media, if you see, they are not even ready to pick up this story. I'm just wondering.
Like I said, this is a dangerous trend for democracy, Neelu, because the media should play a non-partisan role. The media must be objective. The media must put out all information. And that is what the role of the real media in a democracy is. If the media doesn't play that role, and unfortunately we are seeing increasingly that the media, especially the mainstream media, is just refusing to play that role in most cases, that is very dangerous, I already said, for our democracy. Because like you said, this is not information that is being sought only today. It is not information that is being sought only about Mr. Narendra Modi as the Prime Minister. This is not only about the BJP government or its leaders. This is about anyone who occupies that position. UPA, BJP, any other government tomorrow, it doesn't matter. How do we set a democracy apart from any other form of government, a dictatorship or a fascist rule? It's when people have the right to question and the government is accountable. Because in all other countries also, in all other regimes also, you'll have a constitution, people will have rights, but they don't have the right to question. Here we have the right to question and we have the right to get answers. Commodore Batra is questioning, he's asking. Unfortunately, he's not being given the responses in all the cases which he should have got as a matter of right. And that prevents people from having information. And in a situation where the media is not playing the role that it ought to play, Commodore Batra is doing a very important service in a democracy, and people like you who pick up some of this information are doing a very important service in our democracy of putting out facts. This is objective information. The right to information is not giving you subjective opinions. It's giving you information which is objective. A lot of people, Neelu, have raised these questions that ये क्या होता है जब प्रधानमंत्री बाहर जाते हैं? So many people are turning up. How is it happening? Is it staged? Is it not staged? I'm not commenting on all of that. What Commodore Batra has done now is gone one step ahead, and he said, look, give me objective information. How much money are you spending on what? What events are being organized? Who is spending the money? And let me say this, Neelu, that this is also just the tip of the iceberg. When my Prime Minister goes to another country, I am assuming on, many things, many public interest issues, discussions are happening. He's not going on a personal trip. Look, we are not interested. This is not any vicarious information that is being sought. We are not saying that if ministers go, Prime Minister goes, officials go for a private visit, spending their own money, give us information. We are saying that if the Prime Minister and others are going on an official trip, on taxpayers' money. It's not money, their own money that they're spending. We have a right to know. We are asking for that information. Why should that information not be provided? And when so much money is being spent, you read out 10 crore rupees was spent on one trip, 5 crore rupees was spent on another trip. On the PMO's website, I just read out to you that 20 crore rupees was spent on a 2 or 3 day visit to Brazil just on chartered flights. So can you imagine what the total sum of money would be? I mean, when that is being spent, what is being negotiated? Do we not have the right to know who all went in the official delegation? The other questions that have come up, Neelu, are that who are these people who accompany our Prime Minister when he goes for an in an official delegation? I mean, there might be lakhs of people who might want to go. Is there a criteria by which the Prime Minister decides who will accompany him? Is there a criteria by which it is decided that so and so capitalist will go with him and a deal will be struck? All of this information is being done in all this is being done in official capacity. So all of this information is official information. It is being done in our names in a democracy. We have a right to know. So that is why I said who went, how long did they go for, who accompanied him, how much money was spent should all be given. And let me just also read out the last line of that OM, the Office Memorandum of 2013. It's a very balanced Office Memorandum. The last line says, these instructions would not apply to security and intelligence organizations under the second schedule of the RTI law. We are not saying that if there are some undercover security people who are going with the Prime Minister to ensure his security, we want all details. That's not anybody's contention. But, the total amount of money spent, yes, we have a right to know. And this is not just any one party, Neelu. I am very clear about the fact that whoever occupies these positions has an obligation. And I would very strongly say that we should not wait for a Commodore Batra to file these applications. We should have this information proactively. Section 4 of the Right to Information Act is clear. It says that people should not have to file RTI applications for everything. There is a lot of information that the government should proactively put in the public domain. All of this information, this OM that I just read out, is all part of Section 4 disclosures. It's so unfortunate that Section 4 is implemented so poorly in our country. The Supreme Court of India, in response to a petition that it recently got, has actually said that Section 4 disclosures should happen properly. And it has said that the information commissions should make sure that there is an audit of Section 4 disclosures by all public authorities, and they should make sure that they penalize if it is not happening. Now, you look at what is happening in our country. The Central Information Commission, the other information commissions, appointments are only not being made. In the Central Information Commission today, out of 11 commissioners, only 3 are working. Why are the others not being appointed by the Prime Minister-led selection committee?
In fact, I remember I had done a program with you when we were talking about, how the information under RTI is not coming out, appointments are not happening. But I'm just coming back to these 3 RTIs and the 3 applications which we just shown regarding the expenditure of Prime Minister Modi's foreign visits. Now, what about the reason why other missions are so scared to give a response under RTI? Now, are they under pressure? Or have they been told by the Indian authorities that not to divulge any particular information on this as far as those particular missions are concerned? And I'm talking about those missions who have not answered and they have deflected the entire RTI to the NEA. Now, does this mean that if this information comes out, now I'm just trying to imagine the mound of information on which these missions are sitting and they are not responding. And if at all this information comes out, so does it mean that what information we have seen in these 3 applications is just the tip of the iceberg? It's like crores and crores, which we cannot imagine have been spent on PM Modi's visits, foreign tours.
Neelu, I always say that when you get information under the Right to Information Act, that is great. But when you don't get information, that itself shows a lot. The fact that these missions are refusing to give information on something so basic. What is there to hide? Of course, it will raise questions. The questions that you are raising are very legitimate. That why are these embassies, why are our missions in all of these countries refusing to give this information? Are they working under some kind of diktat? Have they been told that you can't give this information? We don't know. But the fact that this information is not forthcoming itself tells a story. And I think that that is what is most concerning, because in a democracy, if public authorities start feeling empowered that we will not be answerable, we will not give information, they are not above the law of the land. They are using taxpayers' money in India, or Indian taxpayers' money. So they are subject to all the laws that are applicable in India. Is the Prime Minister above any law? Is the embassy, are the missions above the law of the land? So what they are doing is completely illegal. I think only 3 countries' missions have given this information. It's absolutely essential that all give. And yes, like you said, that this is just giving very minuscule information that has been obtained right now. I mean, I'm reading out to you from the Prime Minister's own website that in 2019, over a 3-day visit, 20 crore rupees was spent on chartered flights. So I mean, how much money is being spent? We have a right to know, and let there be a debate. If it is felt that it's too much money, let people have the right to say that. If it is felt that no, this is not too much money, it's perfectly fine, that's also okay. But you can't withhold information. You can't say, well, doesn't matter if there is a law, we will not give information. And that, I think, is very concerning. And I hope that Commodore Batra will take the legal recourse. He will go to the Information Commission. And I am very certain that when these things are heard in an appeal, there will be absolutely no justification that is there for denying this kind of information.
Absolutely, absolutely. And just imagine, and I'm just repeating this once again, that these are just 3 applications. Prime Minister has traveled to 16 countries just in 2024. Forget about the other years. He's been the Prime Minister since 2014. So if you imagine the kind of money which has been spent on PM's foreign trips, and again, I'm repeating that it's not that we don't want the Prime Minister to go on foreign trips. But should this kind of money be spent is the big question. Should we not raise questions? That is a big question. Why is media silent? That is the big question. And we are continuously raising these questions. Anjali has done so many programs with us, whether it is regarding the appointment of the information commissioners, or regarding other aspects as well, which are related to RTI. We've done many, many programs. I think we are doing our bit. We are fulfilling our responsibility, but are others following the same? That's a big question. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. I think Anjali was right that why those missions are not divulging information is also a matter of concern. And we should probe as to why they are silent and why MEA doesn't want those missions to answer. Should we not know how much our Prime Minister is spending on foreign trips? Because in every election rally, he says, and even the troll army says that, look, our Vishwaguru is so popular that the entire world bends before him. Is that the reality? And I'm just going to leave the viewers with this particular question. Thank you so much, Anjali. It was a pleasure having you on the program. Thank you.
Stay ahead with our cutting-edge news app. Instantly access the latest shorts in just 1 minute and breaking news in just 50 words. Download now for a smarter, faster news experience.